on an old 78 RPM record. This record label was called His Master's Voice. Now, I'm not as young as many of you young people are, but I actually remember this because we had some of these in our home. When we were growing up, we had a gramophone. Some of you wouldn't know what in the world a gramophone was. But it was a machine. There's a picture of one of them right there. That's a portable one. We had one that was in a cabinet. You had to crank this machine up. And it had a stylus on it. And you would put it on the record. The record was a 78 RPM. It was quite thick. And it would spin around and play the music. Now, the way that this record label came about was kind of interesting. Francis Barraud was an English painter. He had a brother named Mark. And Mark, his brother, passed away. And so Francis inherited a bunch of his stuff. And one of them was this gramophone, or a phonograph player, they also called it. And his brother was a singer. And his brother's recordings were with this portable gramophone. And there were recordings of Mark's voice. And also, along with the stuff that he inherited Mark's dog, Nipper. And Francis observed that when he played the records of his brother Mark, Nipper would run over to the phonograph and stick his nose by that speaker. He was puzzled. He was trying to make out where the voice came from because he recognized his master's voice. And this scene remained so etched in Francis's memories that even after 3 years that Nipper, the dog, had died, he painted this picture. And he called it His Master's Voice, and it became actually a famous record label. Even though his master was gone, the dog recognized and knew his master's voice. And Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me." The voice of our Master Jesus calls us to follow Him every day. Not one day a week, but every day. And He must be our Master, not just once in a while, but always. Jesus has to be the number one in our lives. And there is a call to follow Jesus, and I believe, as I said that to someone this week, that somewhere along the way in everyone's life, there will be that call to follow the Lord Jesus. Jesus said, if anybody will come after me, let him deny himself. In other words, he's not going to be his own boss anymore. And take up his cross, symbolically, and follow me. In Revelation 3:20, Jesus said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me." The Master's voice, standing at the door of every heart and knocking. You see, we need Jesus in our lives. He's not just born to be a Christmas story or an Easter story. Jesus came to the world with purpose. He was God manifest in the flesh. Isaiah 9:6, the prophet spoke about Jesus coming, and he said, "Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace." And this Jesus who came, this Jesus was the Mighty God. He was the Everlasting Father in human form. And He came for a purpose. He said, "I have not come to be ministered unto, but I come to minister and to give my life a ransom for many." You see, human race had been kidnapped back in the Garden of Eden by Satan when he deceived Eve and Adam into disobeying the voice of God. And the Bible said by their disobedience, by man's disobedience, many were made sinners. And when we are born today, we are not born righteous, we are born in sin.